عسرشي بميدا وإكادو عبتخينات نقفا زنطريك ركفا وإلوي بريل يا واديدي نقص قدو عريدي كرمت كون بعتادي قميدي شكنا أمان بأمان حبرو وإلكا قنع سودي حبنيكا قنع وقنع Abrongo madom, abrongo madom, gomadome, gomadome. Nubaad tergi, gomida tabroma korida, goita sahel gomida. الكادو اير ولد كوردا ولا بلعي لا تعدا وإلوي اير خاتميدي تبا شغلت عريدي كفف كفنا نفتح عقف قاريدي عرمت كبن مخيدي وبداية تهبر معي كوردا ويتحلان قمينا الكادو ابتوقع عسرتي نايد بيت كناتي وإلوي اير خاخرت مسلسل بيخ قسم وحبا يا استتحي تقول باجي كهادو أمان بأمان حلو وإلكا قنع سودي أبنيكا قنع قنع قبل بركي حلينا أبرنغو مدوم أبرنغو مدوم قمدمي قمدمي نبعاد درقي قميداي تابرما قرئنا قويت هدباي قميدا الكادو أبصرحي سمحر مسنا أجن ميتان أجري خابد بيخ كثيري قبل يتم حريري وستأجيب عوت كلها دميرا عوت سيكا بسرا بداية تهبر ما يكون إدا ويتا ترقب ميدا الكادو كمينيرا أسمرا سنفرتي كحران وإلوين سنبدي ترقبيني لحيني نفرتنا كثيري نقزاقي دوخ أمان بأمان وإلا قنع سودي أبنيكا قنع وقنع وقنع دمت حياة كسمنا أمان بأمان جبنا وجبنا أنا سدوني سححينا قنع وقنع حج وقنع دمت حياة كسمنا أبرنغو مدوم قمدمي قمدمي نبعاد ترقي عصدمي عصدمي نبعاد ترقي نبعاد ترقي نبعاد ترقي نبعاد
The front line, 6 miles south of Zagia. When the Russians and Cubans changed sides, the EPLF lost a powerful political ally to the enemy. This has made the EPLF policy of self-reliance more important than ever, and the soldiers continue to work the land right up to the front line.
Here, on the northern front line, the battle line, the people in the vicinity have had to flee because of the bombings and shellings. Since they are forced to take refuge elsewhere, they cannot come daily to take care of the crops. So the comrades of the EPLF who are stationed in the vicinity cut the grains, gather it and thresh it, and then deliver it to the people. When it's necessary, when the fighting is very heavy, the comrades come down to the fields at night and take care of the crops and give the grain to the people who stay in the safer areas.
Supplies from villages like Zagia are delivered to a base camp close to the front lines. The food is stored and emergency hospitals are set up. From here, the food, water and ammunition needed by the troops is taken to the front by volunteers. These vaccines have been bought with money that could otherwise have bought arms. But the EPLF know that a peasant farmer's animals are his bank balance and his livelihood. The vaccine is as much an EPLF weapon as a rifle. Just as they recognize the value of animal vaccination, the EPLF have brought regular basic medical care for the first time to the people of Zaga.
جاء حج الرؤوس خلط راح يتحملكم دلة
بريت ما تنفع قوي
كنت أنا قاله رسمي قال لكم ده يقولكم رسمي رسمي يقولكم
أفعلون رسل با
رسمي قالوا ده
ما رسل
خلكم ما أسمع جنبكم أبي أتحكم أظن دحين ما في أجمل ما في أجمل هاي رايك حدلك عبد الرحمن اللي مع تحاول انه نقول فيها أولا
In Zaga, the woman's role has always been one of silent labor. But in Eritrea, there is a second revolution. Considerable inroads have been made into the traditionally male-dominated culture, and women's emancipation has become more than simply a slogan.
To the extent of our capacities, all of us women should participate. Without our contribution, the struggle cannot achieve victory. When the men are fighting in the battlefield, we are in the back lines. We bake bread and carry it, and we take water to them. How can they fight without our support?
4 عامات غيرو مش حزباو جنبار تسلفوا حنتي أب حفاش ودبات تسريحة.
My son, he too joined the fighters 4 years ago. And my daughter, she was working with the People's Organization on the road to Massawa in the medical section at Dongolo. Then she came here and she participated with the youth organization. After that, when they asked for volunteers to join the front, she was one of the first volunteers to join. She went to the training section in Sahel.
جرم بعض هاو خن مهارينا تبلا ها هو في ها هي هو لي لو لي لا لي لو ري رو ري را ري رو كي او كي كا اي او تي تو تي تا تي تي تو في فو في فا في في فو في فو في فا في
Now questions. Do you have any questions?
أبتنا فدريشن جدي بحمسان بسوسان حدا عبنا حضرات منقسطة.
In 1961, during the time of the Federation, people went to the United Nations and made some demands on behalf of the Eritrean people. Why didn't they give them an answer?
نحضرات منقسطة الرنات خوينا نتناي حزبي علوم زلو تقدسنا.
The demand was a simple demand for self-government, self-administration. What answer did the United Nations give when these demands were made? The member states of the United Nations protect their own interests, and they are not going to care for the Eritrean people. All they are worried about is exploiting resources and making economic benefits for themselves. Those who were running the federation from the Eritrean side, were they consulting the people in the countryside? Can you tell us whether they were consulting or not? I think they were not consulting the Eritrean people. What they did was discuss it between themselves and ally themselves with the feudal lords. But the people in the countryside were not consulted. They had no role whatsoever, and the reason why Eritrean people could not participate was because they did not know. They were not consulted.
وقال حزبنا قطر نحر داري إلى حزب قطر لو مي مسمن صاني حزباو جنبار داري ترانا تخرجا قط كيلو ترانا إذا حرستاي.
If you look at the role of the masses in the countryside, it's only after the EPLF came that its role was assured. The farmer had no role whatsoever. Nobody ever consulted them. Even their existence was not recognized.
ترجم يبلون بناي بعدها ينجزاتي ما يحطوتن يوم يرم زياتهم.
Those who had property and were rich discussed between themselves what would be most convenient and expedient for them. But even for their own purposes, they failed in their intentions. Any other questions? Please ask. In the olden times, whoever was the government or the leader of the government did not consult the peasants. Only the rich, only the people with property were consulted. The people were never consulted. Only now are the rights of the mass of Eritreans being respected. As far as the federation is concerned, we did not even know of its existence. It's only after the EPLF came with its political education that we know and that we understand. And now we are struggling and we are thinking.
بزعما زاناي بوليتيكا وسمرتنا أزي أنا ترش أفتي متفقنا يمحي من
نتي بجيو
When there is time, of course, we must all learn, but there is no time. It's a time of hunger, really. This is not really a proper time for attending schools. I must learn like the rest of the women, and I must know my rights and duties myself, and I must be conscious of all of this. This struggle, you see, doesn't concern just your wife Aster. It involves everybody in Eritrea. What you must understand is, when we were under the Ethiopian government, we never had the opportunity to go to school. Now she is free and has the opportunity. Why shouldn't the women take this opportunity? Why shouldn't we, in this free time? You, in your youth, you have not been schooled, but now it's time even for you men to attend school. And she could bring about change in your family life on how to bring up children and many other things. But because you have narrow ways of thinking, you are thinking only of her household duties, and you are really obstructing the necessary development. Between man and wife, there is always a quarrel. Such quarrels can never be resolved without people getting educated. But if they are educated, then they can resolve their quarrels peacefully. Because there is male domination as a rule, you cannot obstruct her from going to school. You cannot say what use education is going to be to this woman. You cannot think along such lines. That is a wrong way of thinking. She will contribute her part better if she goes through school, but she cannot contribute if she does not get this opportunity. So you must understand all this. This wrong opinion you have, or wrong lines of thinking, you must change. You must correct.
رزنت
The women of Zaga take turns to bake bread and prepare food for the fighters at the front. But increasingly, women in Eritrea are becoming more actively involved in the revolution. EPLF claim that a quarter of the movement are now women who repair captured weapons, fight at the front, or join the administration corps as health officers and teachers.
From now on, there is no going back. You are now members of the Women's Association of Zaga, of Eritrea, and later on of the world at large. Because women all over the world, except those women in the socialist countries, are oppressed. Even those Italian women you see wearing pants and letting their hairs loose, even they are as oppressed as we are. We have to recognize that a woman can contribute in the house as much as the man can contribute in the fields. And the combination of their work brings about the progress and the development of society. But in the previous order, even our own husbands and brothers have never given our work their due consideration, the due regard it deserves, because we have never asserted our rights. Our level of consciousness is therefore inferior. We are always tied to the house. For our level of consciousness to be high, we have to go out of the household and participate equally in all the discussions and affairs of the community. Do you have any questions before we get down to business?
بيتي نقحتنا ودنا نودينا دلو بحق خنا مسجنا له بلينا يبزلوا معلتي كنا مسجن كلنا.
About 3 years ago, we had to flee our village and go to the forest. We were in the forest and caves because of the hatred of the Ethiopians. We had to flee our village and we had to take our children and ourselves to the forest. But thanks to our educated children who have now established a new order, a new system, they have enabled us to come back to our village. Eritrea has been giving birth. There have been brave Eritreans before, but the brave Eritreans were never serving us Eritreans before. But now, our brave children, they are working for our interests. The dying of our children, we do not now consider it a loss. We consider it a victory, a triumph. And anyone who does not understand this, and anyone who does not rise to this level of consciousness, who does not grasp this, starting with myself, is no good. Mothers and sisters, may you rejoice on account of the work of your children. Give thanks to God, and long life to the EPLF, and may the mass be victorious.
Despite the war, the EPLF has built up an organization from within the population itself. The villagers, once the lowest members of a feudal society, have seen a major change in their social conditions. Schools have been built, and lessons are now taught in their own dialect. Health centers have been set up, and for the first time, women have a say in the running of society. On top of this, the Eritreans have scored some outstanding military victories. Much of the countryside is in their control, and 18 months ago they captured major towns, running them effectively for over a year, until they were retaken by the Ethiopians with Russian and Cuban aid. Because of these military successes in the towns and the countryside, Eritrea is frequently paralleled with Vietnam. And because of its deep grassroots structure, the EPLF is regularly compared to Vietnam's National Liberation Front. The longest war in Africa looks likely to continue for a long time yet.
Even our children are fighting. It's because we want our own government. It's because we realize that we have always lived under oppression. It's because we have realized all this that we are participating and supporting the revolution. Who is not fighting for this better day, for this light of day? Mules are fighting, donkeys are fighting, goats are fighting, chickens are fighting. It's because everyone wants to see the light of day. Everybody is fighting. Even the rocks and stones are fighting, splitting the enemy's bullets into bits and pieces. It's because we want to see the light of day. We are the red flowers. We are today's flowers, but tomorrow's people's army. We are today's red flowers, but tomorrow's gang. We are replacements for the fallen comrades. In order to show this situation, our comrades will now show us a play.